You're asking what is Duckpin Bowling?
Yeah, you would like to know what is the Duckpin Bowling.
I would love to know what is Duckpin Bowling.
Duckpin Bowling?
Duckpin Bowling?
I know absolutely nothing about duckpin bowling.
I don't know how to say in English.
I think Duckpin Bowling is the bowling with those little baby balls.
Do you think that it's a game that requires more than one person? Like it's like a team sport, or
Maybe it requires
personal
a duck
a duck, a pin?
and bowling.
Yeah.
I have no effing clue what duckpin bowling is.
Oh no. I don't know what duckpin bowling is.
I'd love to play it, yeah.
Perseverance. That's what it takes to bowl duck pins. Everything is smaller, and nothing comes easy.
Duckpin bowling is the greatest game in the world.
We have an awful lot of fun.
Once you bowl duckpin, you don't want to bowl anything else.
I've been bowling for 20 years. I love it.
Exciting, it's challenging, and it's fun.
It's frustrating and exhilarating all in the same sentence.
It's like the Mount Everest of the bowling scene.
Everest? Perhaps. But you don't need to go to the Himalayas to find duck pins. The game thrives along the northern extension of Interstate 95, through parts of New England, and pretty much the whole state of Maryland. And the game hasn't changed in almost 50 years. The lanes, the pin-setting machinery, the traditions. It's found its own little nook in space and time, immune to modernization. There's more than meets the eye when it comes to bowling. It's a regional thing. And few are aware of bowling's brilliant permutations.
Duckpins is a 3-ball sport. We bowl 3 balls in each frame, 10 frames. The bowling balls we use are bigger than a softball. They can be no heavier than 3 pounds, 12 ounces.
In big ball bowling, they range from 6 pounds up to 16 pounds.
If you bowl duck pins and average 120, you can go right to big pins and average 200, okay? You take your 200 bowler in the game of big pins, there's no way he's gonna come and bowl this game and average 120.
This is the type of game where you could throw 12 perfect balls in the pocket and you may only throw 7 strikes.
Some days you don't have a good night when you bowl duck pins, because it seems like they can turn on you, and like life can turn on you.
It's like golf, you know, the lip out, or the bump and the wiggle that doesn't fall. And it fell for your opponent, you know, it's like, oh, why me?
It's tough to get someone to love the game because it's so difficult, but I think that's the best part about it.
The game is tough, but amidst the emotions, the passion, the sacrifice, there are rewards. But like all good things in life, you have to earn them.
In the beginning, people threw things to protect themselves. But as time passed and civilization grew, we learned to throw for recreation and competition. All nations develop ball games, but the ball game that surpasses all is an old English sport called bowls. Today we call it bowling.
Bowling is a primeval sport. Its concepts are pretty simple. You throw a ball, you knock down sticks. But duck pins are a somewhat more thorny adaptation of this practice. And the game's fragmented and elusive past is just as complex.
In 1903, John McGraw and Wilbert Robinson, two Baltimore Oriole baseball players, owned the Diamond Bowling Lanes on Howard Street in Baltimore. McGraw and Robinson theorized that true skill and the greatest challenge could best be attained in bowling by using a ball designed to fit the hand and using pins to conform to the size of the ball. This was done, and as a group of spectators witnessed the first match of this new bowling game, the remark was heard that the flying pins looked like a flock of ducks in flight. And the new game had a new name.
Duckpin Bowling. Don't know where it came from, don't know why. I don't really see any correlation other than the shape of the pin versus the shape of a duck. And that's about that on that.
But back in 1899, the Baltimore Sun thought otherwise. They established an article on McGraw and Robinson, who were Chesapeake duck hunters themselves. They remarked that the funny little pins looked like bunches of plovers flying off a marsh.
Duck pins, you know how they fly. They would fly, my goodness, they would come out of there and fly clear up halfway up the alley sometimes.
And although Baltimore has long been dubbed birthplace of the flying duck pins, there actually is no concrete evidence to back this up.
And I don't know if it's documented anywhere when it originated. We thought that McGraw and Robinson just cut down some of their broken 10 pins and started using a smaller ball. But apparently the game is a little bit older than that. But somebody recently has found references to duck pins in a newspaper from, I think, Lowell, Massachusetts. So I don't really know how it originated.
That someone is sports writer Howard Rosenberg, whose baseball research for his book Cap Anson 3 led him to John McGraw and Wilbert Robinson's early duckpin exploits. Rosenberg has been Baltimore's sports history gadfly, unearthing articles in Massachusetts' Lowell Sun-Times from 1894 and Connecticut's New Haven Register in 1896. Both reference duckpin bowling, and both predate the Baltimore Sun's 1899 article on the Diamond Bowling Alley, thereby discrediting the tale of Charm City and Chesapeake plovers. But Baltimore has enjoyed the spotlight for over a century, and McGraw and Robinson, who made quite a name for themselves outside the National League, have found a place in Maryland history with their waterfall witticism.
Good for them. Basically, if I was out shooting jackrabbits in the desert and I found out that if I could kill a jackrabbit, it'd fly up in the air, look like pins, make a game out of it, 2 thumbs up to them.
What would the game be called?
Screaming Rabbits in the Desert. So, have you ever shot a rabbit? It screams like a human. So. Okay.
We will never know for certain where and how duckpin bowling began, but one cannot refute its indelible ties with baseball. Born and raised in Baltimore, Babe Ruth was an avid duckpinner.
Well, we all know that from watching the films and the documentaries about the Babe that he was around there and he enjoyed his cigar and enjoyed a beer and bowling was a man's sport back when it started.
Back in those days, a lady wasn't considered to be welcome in a bowling establishment. In fact, they might have been prohibited from even going into the establishment. Well, a lot of your bowling alleys back then were kind of dingy. A lot of smoke. You had, like spittoons,
You know, cigars and a smoky place and dark and a little bit of gambling going on.
Back in those days, it was the shirt and tie sort of gig, okay? They took the game that serious that they were willing to dress up, okay? That was their dress code back then, okay? I used to be a shirt and tie guy too when I went to work, and now I look like this.